Warren Wells of the Raiders is the best wide receiver you may not have heard of, and here's why. In the 1969 Week 10 game, the Raiders were down late, and head coach John Madden was busy talking to himself. He had not to worry, because speed burner Warren Wells sunk the Chargers with this 80-yard game winner. Raiders fans showed their appreciation. Warren Wells was like a shooting star, an elite receiver, but for only a very short period of time. He was a 12th round draft pick by the Lions in 1964 out of Texas Southern. He was drafted into Uncle Sam's Army in 1965 and returned to play pro ball for the Raiders in 1967, for whom he caught 13 passes. The scary thing to defensive coordinator, coaches, and players was that even though you double covered him, he'd still split your coverage for big gains. It was 42-0 at halftime in this 1969 game against the Bills, and former Raiders head coach, now current Bills head coach, John Roush was furious. He went from a 12-2 record with Oakland in 1968 to a 4-10 record with Buffalo in '69. In 1968, he broke out in a big way. His 53 catches were 6th best in the AFL. 1,137 receiving yards were 4th best. 11 receiving touchdowns were 1st in the AFL, and his 21.5 average yards per catch was 3rd best, and he made the Pro Bowl. It didn't matter if it was old man George Blanda at quarterback or Darryl LaMonica. All Warren Wells did was catch touchdowns. He had 3 touchdowns of 16, 16, and 51 yards in this 1969 Week 13 game versus the Bengals. In 1969, he was even better than in 1968, as his 47 catches ranked 5th in the AFL, and he was 1st in the following categories: yards with 1,260, 14 receiving touchdowns, and a huge 26.8 average yards per catch. He again made the Pro Bowl, and amazingly only made the second team All-Pro. I guess that's what happens when you have Hall of Famers Don Maynard and Lance Allworth in your conference. It was a monsoon in Week 3's 1970 matchup against the Dolphins in Miami, but Wells handled it well, both running and receiving. Conditions were far superior in Week 13 at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. Wells beat Steeler double coverage that included that of rookie cornerback and future Hall of Famer Mel Blount, number 47. Oh dear, John Madden is deeply concerned again. Have no fear. 21-year veteran George Blanda took over to right the Raiders' ship by hooking up with Wells. In 1970, Warren Wells' stats slipped a bit, but he was still good for 43 catches, 935 yards, 11 receiving touchdowns, and a terrific 21.7 yards per catch. He was in the prime of his career at age 28. He had scored 42 touchdowns on only 158 catches, which is one touchdown for every 3.7 catches. In 1967, he scored a ridiculous 6 touchdowns on only 13 receptions. Against the Chiefs in Week 14 of the 1969 season, he only caught one pass, but it was good for 72 big yards. He suffered a separated shoulder in this heated rivalry game. When a team possesses the ultimate weapon, a wide receiver with superior speed, it doesn't matter the down, distance, field position, or score. In short, it's first and goal to go from anywhere on the field. Completed long passes break the backs of defenses. They take away the spirit and drive out of them. It leaves them demoralized. It worked! And here's a 94-yarder. Sadly, before the start of the 1971 season, Wells experienced legal difficulties and spent 10 months in prison. The Raiders released him and he never played in the NFL again. He was 28 years old in the prime of his career. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. Thank you for watching.